Luking was organized and always on time. When he didn't show up, Molden called his family.
I know that when people call parents with concerns about children, it's not good.
Michael Fissery, Yosemite National Park.
Located in the granite heart of California's mighty Sierra Nevada mountain range, Yosemite is one of the United States' first wilderness parks.
Some people are born for the outdoors, and Michael Fissery was one of them.
He's a postman in Santa Barbara in outstanding physical condition. He rode his bike to work every day. He loved backpacking and hiking.
This man pushed aside a conventional lifestyle to live one of adventure and exploration. And in 2005, he decided to hike solo through Yosemite National Park. And not just the touristy areas of Yosemite either, but the parts reserved for the hardcore adventurers. Fissery was very independent and liked to live off the grid. So it wasn't until his wilderness permit expired that people realized something was wrong. A massive search was instigated and even involved the Marines. They quickly found Fissery's backpack, which spelled very bad news and greatly concerned his family. Unfortunately, no other trace of Fissery has ever been found.
16 years, Michael Fissery's never been found. And people have walked this trail incessantly. They've gone off trail. They've gone all around that area. Nothing.
Ruth Ann Ruppert, Yosemite National Park. Yosemite is so enormous that it's home to countless disappearances.
It's visited by 3.5 million people each year.
Finding missing people here is like finding a needle in a haystack. Ruth Ann Ruppert planned to hike from Yosemite Falls to an unincorporated community called Foresta, which is about a 6-hour walk southwest. She never made it to Foresta.
Yosemite National Park is home to North America's highest waterfall, Yosemite Falls. A nearly 2,500-foot drop makes this an iconic image of the park.
It's believed that Ruppert's limited eyesight played a substantial role in her disappearance. One of her eyes was a prosthetic, and the other had been treated for an infection the very same day she embarked on her 15-mile hike. Ruppert's backpack was found 8 years after she disappeared in the region of Fireplace Creek, which is about halfway between Yosemite Falls and Foresta. Morgan Heimer, Grand Canyon National Park.
Now, search and rescue teams take to the skies as the hunt for the missing river guide Morgan Heimer continues in the Grand Canyon.
At the time of his disappearance, Morgan Heimer was working for a rafting company called Tour West, which provided guided tours through the Grand Canyon.
The National Park Service received a satellite phone call around 8 p.m. last night reporting that the guide, identified as 22-year-old Morgan Heimer of Cody, Wyoming, had gone missing at River Mile 213 near Pumpkin Springs.
On day 6 of an 8-day trip, Heimer vanished in the Pumpkin Springs area of the park. The lead guide was speaking to Heimer when he was distracted by a client. When he went to speak to Heimer again, the young man was gone. The guide didn't think much of it at first, believing Heimer had simply walked off. But when 3 hours had gone by without a word, Heimer was officially declared missing. An extensive search lasting 6 days was carried out, but to no avail.
And so we did aerial searches yesterday with the helicopter, and today we have 3 ground teams searching, as well as 1 team on the river.
Derek Luking, Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
The family drove to nearby trails, finding his car near Newfound's Gap.
I thought, well, he went for a hike and he'll be back.
In March 2012, a young orderly named Derek Luking visited the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which resides in both Tennessee and North Carolina. Only it was under some bizarre circumstances. When Luking failed to arrive at work, a mutual friend called his roommate, who in turn notified Luking's family.
Luking was organized and always on time. When he didn't show up, Molden called his family.
I know that when people call parents with concerns about children, it's not good.
They looked through Luking's computer and found searches for the national park. Luking was also spotted on surveillance at a motel near the park. Luking's car was later found outside a trail containing roughly $1,000 of survival equipment and his wallet. They also found an ambiguous and unsettling note that read simply, quote, "Don't try to follow me." Tragically, there was no trace of Luking himself.
Today, Derek's mother runs a Facebook page, keeping his story alive.
Paula Jean Weldon, Green Mountain National Forest. The Vermont State Police exists because of Paula Jean Weldon. Weldon was an 18-year-old college student who decided to walk the long trail in Vermont. Weldon hitchhiked from school to the trail, and when she failed to return for her studies, her roommate notified the administrators. They, in turn, contacted the authorities, and a massive search for Weldon was undertaken. It involved the National Guard, firefighters, and even students from the school, which had closed to help in the search. But despite the extensiveness, nothing came of it, and the resulting investigation was fiercely criticized for being shoddy. Just 7 months later, the Vermont State Police was created to prevent such poorly run investigations in the future. Alfred Beilhartz, Rocky Mountain National Park. Unfortunately, it's not just adults that go missing in national parks. In July of 1938, young Alfred Beilhartz was vacationing with his family in Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park. Beilhartz was either 3 or 4 years old when he went missing. Beilhartz was hiking with his family when he made his way to the back of the line. At some point, the boy went off the trail and disappeared from his family's lives forever. A wide search on both land and water was conducted, but came to nothing. Some eyewitnesses reported seeing Beilhartz with an unknown person sometime after his disappearance, and Beilhartz's father also believed that his child had been abducted. Glenn and Bessie Hyde, Grand Canyon National Park. This young couple married on April 10, 1928. For their honeymoon, they wanted to traverse the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon and run its world-famous rapids.
In 1928, two newlyweds set out to navigate these treacherous whitewater rapids. They were never seen again.
In the process, Bessie Hyde was to become the first woman to successfully run the Grand Canyon. Glenn built his own wooden boat, and the newly married couple set off. They were last seen on November 18th, and Glenn's father reported them missing sometime after.
Emery Kolb, a Grand Canyon photographer, was one of the last people to see them alive.
On December 19th, their empty boat was found floating in the water with all of their supplies still on board.
There's a very sketchy diary, but a diary that Bessie Hyde had been keeping was on board. They found everything there except for the people. There's no sign of them.
Numerous theories have been put forth regarding their disappearance, but it's more than likely that the Hydes simply fell out of the boat while running the rapids and drowned. Thelma Pauline Melton, Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Pauline Melton loved the mountains, and in 1981, it would be the last place anyone would see her.
58-year-old Thelma Pauline Melton was spending time in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in the fall of 1981 with some friends. They decided to go hiking on the Deep Creek Trail, while Melton's husband stayed behind with the camper. While on the hike, Melton suddenly picked up her pace and walked ahead of her friends before disappearing beyond a hill. They believed she was racing back to the camper for some reason, but when they got there, Melton's husband reported she'd never arrived.
She could not possibly have gotten lost.
As rangers began their search, they tossed around other explanations. Was she kidnapped?
A huge search was quickly undertaken, but nothing was ever found of Melton. And even more mysteriously, there was no evidence that a hiker had wandered off the trail.
But maybe never being found was the way Polly wanted it.
Floyd Roberts III, Grand Canyon National Park.
Right now, friends and family hoping for the best as the search continues for a Treasure Island man lost in the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon claimed another victim in 52-year-old Floyd Roberts III. On June 17, 2016, Roberts was walking through the canyon with his friend and his friend's daughter. Sometime along the way, Roberts decided to split from the group and take an alternate route up a hill. Why he did this remains a mystery. When he failed to meet up with the others, Roberts was quickly declared missing.
Saturday afternoon, the National Park Service received a call from a member of Roberts' backpacking group that he was missing. It was the first day of a backpacking trip in the western portion of the park.
The resulting search found no conclusive evidence as to what happened, and Roberts simply disappeared into thin air. Where did he go? Most curiously, why did he decide to split from the group? These questions may never be answered.
The area where Roberts went missing is rugged and covered in thick brush, and it takes several hours for rangers to get in.
Dennis Martin, Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Just a few days into his disappearance, Dennis had a birthday. Today, he would be 55.
We return one last time to Great Smoky Mountains National Park for the story of young Dennis Martin. The 6-year-old was on a big camping trip involving multiple families. To have some fun, the children planned to surprise the adults by popping out of some bushes, and Martin's father watched him run behind a nearby shrub. However, he failed to return with the other children and was never seen again.
The search area has expanded as the days stretch into a full week since the youngster was reported missing.
An enormous search for the boy was conducted, with well over 1,000 people combing through 56 square miles of forest.
They amassed a whole lot of people, hundreds and hundreds of people. The U.S. Army with big Chinook helicopters.
To this day, it is the largest search in the park's long history.